small Kumbh Melas at a scale never seen before. Livelihoods of lakhs in the balance.
NDTV Profit is boots on the ground at the Mahakumbh in Prayagraj.
Managing 45 crore pilgrims with high-tech gadgets. Don't miss Kumbhanomics on NDTV Profit at these times.
Well, Budget 2025 is around the corner and Macquarie has come out with its budget estimates or expectations on each sector. The first sector is the banking space. They do not expect favorable treatment for deposits and possible capital infusion for PSU banks and insurance companies might take place. Moving on to the next sector, NBFCs is the counter. Credit guarantees similar to SMEs for MFI sector can be expected. In the insurance company space, that is the next sector to watch out for, no change in tax rates or any product or any corporate profit tax rate change can be expected in this budget of 2025. The next sector to watch out for will be cement and metals, where they are expecting announcement on import duties to restrict imports on certain metals and certain materials. Moving on to the auto space, outlay for PM E-Drive and PLI can be expected. Policy initiative to drive localization of key EV related parts can also be expected. The next sector in focus would be the consumption space. Mid to high single digit increase in cigarette taxes can be expected.
Hi, thanks so much for joining in. Happy Friday to you. This is Ask Profit on NDTV Profit. My name is Alex Matthew and with me is Mahima Vajrajani, and we'll take you through the next half an hour of trade. We've got, I'll tell you why, we've got a very important, very interesting interview lined up for you, and you'll have to stay tuned to find out what that is. We'll tell you in just a bit. For now, let's turn to how the equity markets are looking, and they're not looking too good at the end of the week. In fact, while the benchmark indices are trading with very narrow cuts of about 0.1% or thereabouts, and they have recovered from the low point of the day. The broader markets are looking a little bit weak at this juncture, and the market breadth and the texture very heavily tilted in favor of the declines at this juncture. You have the advanced decline ratio that has shifted quite dramatically from the start. And there are quite a few stocks in the mid-cap basket that are reacting to earnings that we should speak about. But of course, before we do, we should speak about the Nifty heat map. If we can, let's pull that up, because that will show you that the big underperformer is Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, which is down about 4.3%. Of course, on the other end of the spectrum, you see a few stocks that are moving, but not very substantial gains. The likes of ICICI Bank moving higher by about 0.6% ahead of its earnings. By the way, we had Parag Thakkar earlier in the day speaking about ICICI Bank and saying that it's a thumping buy at this juncture. State Bank of India was another stock that he liked, but it's down in the dumps today. It's not doing too well. Let's pull up State Bank of India as well. It's down about 0.4% or so. But the pharma pack and Dr. Reddy's Laboratories really is a big talking point at the start today. So is Syngene, interestingly, because Syngene is down over 6%. The results came in during market hours, but post-market hours you had a commentary by the management in a con call where they spoke about the outlook for current year FY25 being a little bit bleak. The entire pack under pressure. The least loss is 2%. So that's certainly something to talk about at the start today.
Absolutely, and some counters, let's start with something that's in green. V2 Retail, which is still locked in upper circuit. Good set of numbers. When the Q3 business update for the company came in, at that point of time also the stock was locked in upper circuit, I remember. For retail segment, the tier 2, tier 3 cities are really picking up, and which is why V2 Retail is benefiting. But Dr. Reddy's, like you mentioned, is taking the beat. Revenue is up 15%, but margins did slide to 27%, and net profit was hardly up 2%, and we're seeing a downtick of around 4% on that stock. Let's also pull up something like KFin Technologies. Revenue is up 32%, EBITDA up 33%. Margins have improved to 45%, and there you go, the stock is up 8%. IEX is another counter which did very well in terms of its Q3 earnings. Revenue is up 14%, margins at 85.4, slide in the margins, but net profit was up 31%, and there you go. It's currently trading near its day's lows, but it did see good gains in the start of the trade. Tejas Networks, Indus Towers are some counters which have also come out with their earnings. Emphasis, Cyient Limited. Let's pull up Cyient Limited and see what's happening there. In terms of its Q3 earnings, we saw revenues up 4%, but margins slid to 11%, down 17.8%, because net profit was also down by 32%. So, like we discussed yesterday also, Alex, I mean, if the earnings are, even a tad bit miss in terms of the estimates, or not aligning with respect to what the street was expecting, they are just seeing the beating, and especially when they are overvalued,
Yeah, and some of these are taking a beating even if they are more or less meeting expectations. Yeah. But I believe that the first caller that we have today is talking about a stock that did get beaten down earlier in the session. We'll put it up in just a bit, but let me introduce our guests for the day. We've got Asta Jain and Kushal Gandhi joining us this morning. Good morning to the both of you, and thanks so much for taking the time. Incidentally, Madhu is our first caller. She's calling in from Bengaluru. Madhu, thanks so much for calling us, and how can we help you today?
Sir, good morning, sir.
Oh, okay. Hi, Madhu. Tell me.
Sir, good. Sir, Tejas Network, sir, I am purchasing for 1350, sir. 2000 shares, already 25% loss. What, sir, is fundamentally, tell me, sir, holding ourselves, sir, in the future, how, sir?
Metals, and that's a fair question, because if we can, let's pull up the scorecard for the earnings for Tejas Network. It posted a revenue of 2,642 crore rupees. That's a substantial increase versus the year ago number, and you have the margin that is coming as 14.1% in the quarter gone by. It posted a net profit of 166 crore rupees versus a loss in the comparable quarter. So what, Asta, is the problem with the stock? Because the stock is down 8%. What are the prospects? Because the viewer, the investor that is calling us, is seeing a substantial loss.
Yeah, hi. Good morning to all of you. See, I think right now, as you have also pointed out in the initial discussion, that valuations are now becoming the major concern for all the stocks, whether or not they are able to beat the expectations or surpassing the expectation. So I think that is the major concern right now. So I think till the time we are not seeing macroeconomy to be in the favor of our fundamentals, and especially the earnings outlook, these stocks can get a continuous beating up. But I think there is no need to worry in the long term, because ultimately the fundamentals will play its own role. So my idea here is to stay invested in this counter. Yes, today it has given a sharp downside, but I think over the period of a time, definitely it will able to recover. So idea here is to stay invested in this counter.
All right, moving on to the next query, that is from WhatsApp. Ravi from Chennai is a long-term investor. He's bought 200 shares of LTI Mindtree, bought at 1,000 rupees a piece. And he's saying that considering the performance and valuation, I'm thinking of selling it and buying Nuvama or 361 VAM. Kindly share your input. Since he's a long-term investor, I'll come to you again, Astha. Is that the right strategy to adopt? Sell LTI Mindtree 200 shares and buy Nuvama or 361 VAM?
I think LTI Mindtree, definitely the results were not so much encouraging. And that is why we have seen the numbers. I mean, the stock prices numbers are not in the favor right now. But I think rather than going for buying Nuvama or any other counter, because right now what we are seeing that capital markets are not in good shape. So I think ultimately it will going to affect all the counters that are present or related to this sector. So rather than going with these counters, I think it's better to switch to the other counters in which Britannia has played a very, very good role. So there he can see, and in fact, one pharmaceutical counter, although it's a pharma counter and a mid-cap pharma counter, but we are positive on this counter, which is Jackson Pal Pharma. In fact, we have recommended it previously also. So Jackson Pal Pharma is looking good to us, and in the public sector bank space, UCO Bank is looking good to us. So I think these are the safe, places where one can hide right now, rather than going with any stock which is related to the capital market. Although I think right now LTI Mindtree is also not in a very good shape. But if anyone wants to switch, then we are recommending these counters.
All right, that's the view coming in on LTI Mindtree. Moving on to the next caller, Vinod Kumar from Bengaluru is calling in. Vinod, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah, I want to know that Kotak Wabag shares, what is the target price for short term?
For short term, okay. You've looked at the charts already. I believe you're holding 300 shares.
Yes.
All right. I'll come to you, Kushal. Vatek Wabag, it's in a very interesting space. Water treatment is the space, and it's something that's really growing in a big way. In the coming years also, it's expected to grow in a big way. But how does it fare on charts?
This is a negative view on Vatek Wabag, simply because the stock is, topping out and it's formed like a 2B pattern, which gives you a clear indication that there's a change in potential trend reversal in the intermediate trend. And I think the stocks behave that way. The stock currently trades at a very critical levels at 200 EMA support. So my sense is that, the selling pressure might sustain further once it breaches a 1300 mark. So I would recommend to sell his positions.
Your position is the call on Vatek Wabag. It's had a rough 1 month, and so have a lot of other stocks actually, particularly in the mid-cap space, also in the small-cap space. We've got Chandra who's writing in from Salem. I believe we've taken this, but I will still ask this. Tata Technologies is the name of the counter that they're looking for. Bought it at an average price of 939 rupees, and with a long-term perspective, if I remember correctly, Tata Tech took a little bit of a knock post its results. On the fundamentals though, would you hold for 3 to 5 years? What's the view, Astha?
I think that if Horizon is such a long term, then it's better to hold. But one more counter which is looking good to us in the IT space is TCS, which I really forget to tell in the earlier query also. So TCS in the IT space is looking very good to us, although it may see some sort of slow movement in the stock prices. But I think over the period of a time, it is well poised to go to the level of 4,300 to 4,400. So if anyone wants to go to any other counter, so I think TCS is also a very good choice. So rather than Tata Technology, if anyone can partially exit from this counter, then one can enter into TCS as well for the potential target of 4,400 to 4,500.
All right. So that's the view coming in on TCS. But moving on to the next counters, there are two counters that I believe Professor Prakash wants to ask about. REC is one counter and PFC is the other counter. He's holding 4,000 shares of REC bought at 126 and 900 shares of PFC bought at 300 apiece. He's a long-term investor and he's saying that he's still accumulating them. He wants to know as to what should be the next course of actions. Should he stop accumulating now? What should he do, Astha?
REC and PFC, both these counters are good for accumulation purpose. And when the budget is round the corner, then definitely these counters hold their own importance. So right now, our stance here is, yes, one can make a accumulation strategy for both these counters because we are expecting the budget to give a move to these counters. So yes, one can accumulate both the counters, that is REC and PFC. For REC, our price target is somewhere at around 480 to 490 odd levels, while for PFC, our target is around 450 odd levels.
Okay. By the way, what I was talking about at the start, if you did tune in, I said that there would be an interview that you should wait for, and that is lined up for you around 11 o'clock. You're seeing that at the bottom of your screen. In fact, Hardeep Singh Puri, who's a petroleum minister, is going to be speaking exclusively to your channel. And I think that it's an important context right now for him to be speaking. Just overnight, in case you caught the news, and we were speaking about this morning, Donald Trump making quite a few statements with regard to oil prices, and he's saying that oil prices should come down, and if it does come down, then it'll resolve quite a few geopolitical situations, particularly the war in Ukraine. Of course, oil prices did come off just a tad bit, but 77, 78 is where Brent is currently trading. It continues to trade at that level. But it'll be interesting to see what Mr. Hardeep Singh Puri has to say about India's own strategy about imports of oil and what the outlook is going forward. You can catch that interview very close to 11 o'clock. I believe we've got our next caller. We've got Suneet, who's calling us from Uttar Pradesh, and it is on gas stock. सुनीत जी नमस्कार, आप क्या जानना चाहते हैं? सुनीत आवाज आ रही है? Okay, he's not responding. We will go back to him at another time. We've just taken a question on REC and PFC. It is a purchase. Let's take the next one, Scient. In fact, I would like to take a fundamental and technical view on this one, just as an exception to the rule, because it's really getting battered in trade today, 18%. And this is the outlook, if I remember correctly, is not good for the current financial year. We've got Sumesh from Kerala, who's bought at levels of 1,760, and so that's turning out to be elevated levels. Asa, you've probably seen the earnings snapshot and also the commentary from the management. What would you do with this?
Yes, when management, first of all, the CEO resignation was there, and secondly, even the management has cut down their revenue guidance. So definitely, hammering from the all sides, and that's why we are seeing the stock declining towards the southward direction. What we believe that in such a scenario, one can in fact make a strategy. One can want to take risk, then they can remain invested. Otherwise, partially exit is what we are recommending on this counter, because ultimately, when the cut in the guidance is there, definitely it shows that the revenue and the profitability will not be that strong in the coming quarters as well. So we are not very much positive on this counter, recommending a exit, or if anyone cannot take the risk, then partially exit. So this is what we are recommending for this counter. We are not recommending hold on this counter.
So it's a sell, unfortunately, and I'm so sorry, Sumesh. We wanted to take this yesterday, unfortunately couldn't. But then the best advice possible at this juncture, Kushal, it's a sell on the fundamentals. What's the best level? At this level, would you say is an exit?
So definitely exit. Looking at the price action just from April, it confirms the distribution pattern with a breakdown today. And again, it comes with the highest volume recorded for the year. So that's quite some heavy selling pressure going on. So my sense is to just avoid exited positions at the current market price.
Okay. Apologies. We've got, so clear exit on both sides, technical and fundamental. Bear that in mind if you hold Scient right now. Zenith is calling us from Bengaluru. I love your name, Zenith. Please go ahead. What's your question?
Thank you, and good morning to everybody.
Good morning.
I'm holding Angel One share, 145 shares at the price of 2813.
Okay.
And I'd like to know whether I can keep it as a core portfolio stock, because after recent quarterly update, it went in a downward trajectory. However, all the fundamentals checks perfectly. I think it just comes second to Grow in terms of active user base, which is 76 lakh and 5 crore plus downloads. Only Grow has more than this. And it has a very good rating as well of 4.4 across 14 lakh reviewers. And all the fundamental looks good, ROC, ROE, and the management commentary also looks promising that they are going to invest more into AI to make it more robust. I know there's, due to SEBI guidelines, we see some, corrections. But how far will it go, and whether I can blindly keep it?
You shouldn't blindly
Not literally.
You shouldn't blindly keep anything.
though.
Yeah, I got it. You shouldn't blindly keep anything. But Zenith, it's clear that you've done your research, and it's a fair question to ask. But perhaps, just like Asta was saying earlier, it's a question of valuations. Asta, you spoke about the capital market plays and the fact that some of these are taking a bit of a battering. Angel One, what Zenith's saying is absolutely right. They've made very big strides in getting customers, and they've moved to that platform fee-based model, right, or fixed fee-based model, which seems to have done particularly well for them on the fundamentals. But would you hold this in your core portfolio?
So I would like to hold it in the core portfolio, but here one should remain, very much, vigilant of the fact that 1 or 2 quarters is it's a minimum time, frame from for which this counter can be kept, because we are expecting, and in fact, management has also said in its guidance that they really want to wait for 1 or 2 more quarters. Although whatever fixed expenses this company has to take, they have already taken care. So I think 6 months down the line, definitely whatever steps they have taken, that will start yielding in the results. And on the same side, we are expecting that in fact H2 of the calendar year 25 will be a better one for the capital markets. So all in all, yes, one can keep the stock in the portfolio, but here the time frame should be more than 6 months.
That's the view coming in on Angel One. Moving on to the next caller, Vijay from Vizag is calling in. Vijay, a very good morning to you. How can we help you?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. So, I'm Vijay from Vizag, Andhra Pradesh.
Right. Go ahead with your query.
I'm tracking this Ratnavir PGM engineering. So, my query is it right time to buy or to wait for some time?
Okay, when you say you're tracking, are you tracking it on the charts or with respect to the fundamentals of the company?
Charts and fundamental also.
Okay, so I can get you one of those views. Which one do you want? Do you want a fundamental view from Astha or a technical view from Kushal?
Fundamental and valuation I need.
Alright, Astha, I'll come to you. Ratnavir Precision, if that's under your coverage and if you've tracked the company.
Yes, first of all, want to make aware that the results will be announced on the 28th January. So definitely one can wait till those, time, because I think in this kind of environment, when the results are really showing strong impact on the stock prices momentum, one should really wait for at least results to come out. So on 28th January, they will be declaring their results. In the past, the performance was extremely fine because in the past quarter, they have shown the bottom line growth of more than 50%. But we don't know how this quarter will be. So my idea here is to wait till the results and then again give a call in the same show and just take the decision.
All right, so that is the view on Ratnavir decision. Supreme Industries, Sandhya is asking, should it be...
All right, I believe that there is some issue with Alex's audio. We'll fix that. Supreme Industries is the next counter. Sandhya from Mumbai wants to know whether, what's the next course of action? Will it fall more going forward? 1 month it's fallen over 17%. Kushal, your view with respect to Supreme Industries?
In the view, I mean...
Kushal, I think you're on mute.
Oh, no, I'm not on mute. Am I audible now?
Go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's just confirmed a breakdown pattern today from an inverted cup and handle. So I believe the bearish implications might persist further. So it's best to avoid, sell your positions.
All right. So that's the view coming in on Supreme Industries. Moving on to the next caller, Nirmal from Chennai is calling in. Nirmal, a very good morning to you. I believe you have a query on Bikaji Foods.
Yes, good morning to you and a very good morning to Alex as well. Good morning. So my query is on Bikaji Foods International.
Okay.
So I bought it for, my average is on 790 a piece. So my query is if it is still overvalued or if it is taking a beating because the whole market is, volatile.
Right.
And I also want to know if I can average it down now.
Okay. So, Nirmal, I just wanted to understand as to, what was the reason behind buying Bikaji Food? Like, what did you see? You saw the charts and entered the counter, or you saw the fundamentals of the company?
I think the fundamentals of the company when I bought it was pretty good. The balance sheet was looking good as well. And I heard some good expansion plans from the management as well. So I thought it was a good time to buy that stock.
All right. Astha, I'll have to come back to you again. Kushal, we'd have to keep you waiting. A lot of fundamental queries today. Bikaji Foods is the counter. How does it fare fundamentally and what is the valuation picture?
First of all, want to talk about that on the consolidated price to earning basis. It is quoting at a price to earning multiple of 59. That is around 59 to 60, 59.86 to be very precise. So now this valuation seems to be little high when I compare it to the industry price to earning multiple, which is less than 58 or 59, at which this company is quoting right now. So yes, valuations are high. Secondly, in the last quarter, the results were good. But we really need to see how in this environment, the company is able to maintain their margins, able to show some volume growth, because what we are seeing that the other counterparts are not able to perform on those fronts. So right now, idea here is to stay invested. Let's see the results and then make any move in this counter. But it is a good long-term story to hold on. In the short run, maybe higher valuation, and if results will not come up to the mark, then definitely the stock will get a denting because of the higher valuation. So right now we have to just wait for a result. That is what we can do. Hold as a recommendation from our side.
What is the view on Bikaji Food? Suneet had called us earlier on in the session. We couldn't get through to him. Suneet, namaskar. आपका सवाल क्या है? सुनीत, सुनाई दे रहा है?
हाँ सर।
हाँ बोलिए, क्या सवाल है आपका?
सर मेरा सवाल ये है कि मेरा गेल फंसा हुआ है, आपने देखा होगा।
238 पे लिया आपने?
हाँ सर।
तो क्या जानना चाहते हैं?
सर ये अभी होल्ड करना है कि क्या करना है, समझ में नहीं आ रहा है।
आपका टाइम फ्रेम क्या है? आपने लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए लिया था ये?
हाँ सर, लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए लिया था, लेकिन सर काफी लॉस में अभी जा रहा है ये।
जी, मैं समझ सकता हूँ। तो मैं फंडामेंटल बेसिस पे आपका सवाल पूछता हूँ। आस्था, ऑन द फंडामेंटल्स, वुड यू होल्ड ऑन टू गेल व्हिच हैज बीन बॉट एट 238 लेवल्स?
So today I'm informing more to the viewers that the result date will be 30th January. So now definitely we will wait for the results. On the fundamentals were really good when we have seen what the results were there in the last quarter. But now what we are seeing that the crude prices are not able to show that sort of a momentum, and daily we are seeing some sort of commentary coming on that commodity. So I think that is what it is making this commodity a very or this stock a very volatile one. But there is no harm to keep invested in this counter till the results come. So idea here is to stay invested in this counter. 30th January will be the date when the results will be announced. Afterwards, again, investor can give a query. I mean, give a call in the show and have his query again.
Okay. All right. Subhavel is calling us from Tamil Nadu, and an important stock to ask about, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank. Subhavel, you're holding a very large quantity. What do you want to know?
Hi, good morning, Alex sir.
Good morning.
I've been holding this stock from the price of 40 at average. So just wanted to know if I can hold it because I got the result yesterday. So I just want to know Asta's view on
whether to hold on the fundamentals. Yeah, I got it. And it's important because it's not really done well on the earnings performance, right, Subhavel? So let me ask Asta. Asta, on the fundamentals, this is a bank that is, or this is a small finance bank that is aspiring for a universal bank license, but the way things are going, fundamentals not looking very strong?
Yes, right now what we were expecting out of the numbers were not that up to the mark. So that can be one of the major reasons we have seen the stock has shown a strong beating after the result announcement. So at this point of a time, fundamentals are not in a very good shape, but I think there is no harm to keep it in the long-term holding, because going down the line, maybe 3 to 6 months is the time horizon which one can keep in the mind and stay invested in this counter. Because what we believe that during coming quarters, because whatever pain we are seeing in the number, that is the story of last 2 quarters. Coming quarter should be a better one for this counter. This is what we believe. Stay invested in this counter.
Well, I hope this answers your question. Thanks so much for calling us. And Asta and Kushal, thanks so much for joining us and answering all the questions that you did. But it's time now to slip into a very quick break. On the other side, the interview that we promised you at the start, the exclusive chat with the Oil and Gas Minister, Hardeep Singh Puri. We've got that lined up for you. Very important conversation. And he's going to be speaking about HPCL, BPCL and several other stocks that you should know about. Do stay tuned.
They say fortune favors the prepared. The more prepared you are using the tools of technical and fundamental analysis, the more returns you can make at the markets. Join me, Gautam Shah, at NDTV Profit's special session for investors. See you there.
Why do you think Akasa Air and your own role as a CEO fits the bill? Have you been a disruptor in the space? What has been the one USP that you think makes you stand apart?
Just you get your fundamentals correct. And it's the sum total of these fundamentals which is our USP. And let me walk you through some of them. So making sure that we continue to be India's most on-time airline as we are for the second year in a row.
What are the lessons that you've learned from the mistakes that you saw being made?
Some of the airlines that have come before us have been extremely undercapitalized. People wanted to retain control and therefore, ran out of cash.
I present the budget for a historic.
It's nearly time for Budget 2025, and what that means is that there are a lot of proposals that are coming through to the Finance Minister, and among them, there are proposals from the mutual fund industry as well. I'll talk about three key changes that they are suggesting. One is a rollback in the tax rates that was announced last year. Of course, last year, the capital gains tax, long-term and short-term, was increased to 12.5% and 20% respectively. The mutual fund industry is saying a rollback to the previous rates would be beneficial because it would incentivize more investors to come through and invest, and those people that have